Now this was probably one of the best films I have seen all year. This and The Dark Knight both deserve at least one of some sort of award. The movie I'm talking about, of course, is Frost Nixon. For those of you unfamiliar with the backstory, here's a quick history lesson. Richard M. Nixon was involved in one of the largest felonies in U.S. history, tried to cover it up, was about to be impeached, resigned from the presidency, received a full pardon from Gerald R. Ford, and began living out retirement in a bored state of hell in California. David Frost was a failing talk show host who made a desperate effort that, if it had failed, it would have completely ruined him and everyone who helped him with the production of the interviews. But in the end, David Frost was the man who finally got Richard Nixon to admit some semblance of guilt and fault. I, of course, was not alive for these interviews. They were taped in the spring of 1977. I was born in January of 1992. The events surrounding these now famous interviews, more so the fourth and final tape in which Frost finally triumphs over Nixon, led to the writing of a play. Now, this play is pretty recent, having opened in Britain in 2006 and touring on Broadway in 2007. One thing I think was a nice touch with the film is the casting. People opted to cast Michael Sheen as Frost and Frank Langella as Nixon, who played their respective roles in the stage production. Both the play and film take a somewhat fictionalized look at these interviews and the process behind them from the role of the outsider. However, despite the outsider angle with the ability... Sorry about that. I'm very out of it today. However, despite the outsider angle, it is as if we are a nearly omniscient outsider, with the ability to occasionally peer into the mind of Frost, yet unable to touch Nixon. And rightly so. Save for the final interview, had it been told from the Nixon side, we would not have given a damn about Frost and his people. The film takes a somewhat truthful look at Nixon, a man who had always believed he was the hated child, the underdog, and the unpopular kid. Frost was at a low point in his career, a veritable has-been with little going for him, but a show in Australia. But there is still something about Frost, even despite his hard times. He's popular, comfortable at the big parties he attends, and has something of a genial personality. Frost is essentially the antithesis of Nixon, and in some respects is the sort of man Nixon wants to be. This sets the stage for what could be considered the climax of the film, and if not the climax, the final building block. A drunken Nixon calls Frost very late at night, a call which is vital for Frost's turnaround and ultimate victory. Frost Nixon is entirely deserving of 4 stars.